The silence in the opulent office of Senator Thompson was as thick and heavy as the velvet drapes that framed the panoramic view of the Capitol. Dr. Lena Hansen, a child psychologist whose reputation preceded her like a hushed, reverent whisper, sat poised, her gaze sharp and intelligent. Her purpose was clear: to evaluate a child, a key witness in a high-profile political scandal, and determine her fitness to testify. Beside her, Senator Thompson, a man whose political career was currently balanced on the knife edge of this very scandal, exuded an almost desperate tension, his usual composed demeanor replaced by a tightly wound anxiety. He knew that the fate of his entire political life, perhaps even his freedom, rested on the fragile shoulders of an 8-year-old girl named Emily. They had been waiting for 20 minutes, each tick of the antique grandfather clock in the corner echoing the agonizing stretch of time. The air crackled with unspoken pressure, the unspoken question: would the child crumble? The scandal involved allegations of widespread corruption, bribery, and the misuse of campaign funds, a web of deceit spun by powerful figures, and Emily, the daughter of a key co-conspirator, held a terrifyingly clear piece of the truth. Just as the silence threatened to become unbearable, the door creaked open. A young aide, her face pale, ushered Emily in. Dr. Hansen had expected a timid, possibly tearful child, overwhelmed by the grandeur of the setting and the imposing presence of the senator. Instead, Emily walked in with an unexpected, almost unnerving, composure. Her small hands clutched a worn, headless doll, and her eyes, though large and watchful, held a startling depth, devoid of the typical childish fear. She moved with a quiet, almost spectral grace, her simple floral dress a stark contrast to the severe suits of the adults. Senator Thompson, visibly relieved that she hadn't burst into tears or thrown a tantrum, offered a strained, paternal smile. "Hello, Emily. Thank you for coming." Emily didn't reply immediately. She simply sat on the edge of the plush armchair offered to her, her feet dangling inches from the ground, and placed her headless doll carefully on her lap. Her gaze swept over the room, taking in every detail: the intricate Persian rug, the gleaming mahogany desk, the framed photographs of the senator with various dignitaries. Dr. Hansen noted this sharp, almost analytical observation. It was not the typical scattered attention of a traumatized child. It was the careful, methodical assessment of someone trying to understand a new, potentially dangerous, environment. "Emily," Dr. Hansen began, her voice soft and soothing, carefully modulating every syllable to put the child at ease. "My name is Dr. Hansen. I'm here to talk to you about some things, just like we talked about on the phone." She offered a warm, reassuring smile, trying to project a sense of safety that the room, with its underlying tension, largely lacked. Emily turned her head slowly, her eyes fixing on Dr. Hansen. There was no fear in them, no shyness, but an unnerving, almost unsettling, knowingness. "They told me I have to tell the truth," she stated, her voice surprisingly clear and firm for her age, cutting through the carefully constructed atmosphere of the room. "Even if it makes people mad." Senator Thompson flinched, a barely perceptible tremor. Dr. Hansen noticed it, and a new layer of complexity settled over the case. This wasn't just about the child's testimony, it was about the impact of that truth on the powerful individuals in the room, particularly the senator, who was trying to control the narrative. Emily's composure wasn't simple innocence. It was the quiet, steel-like resolve of someone who understood the stakes far better than any adult had given her credit for. The doll, headless and worn, seemed to be a silent, grim companion in her unsettling wisdom. The interview, Dr. Hansen realized, would not be a simple evaluation of a traumatized child, but a delicate dance around a truth far more profound and dangerous than they had anticipated. Dr. Hansen leaned forward, her gaze unwavering as she met Emily's surprisingly steady stare. The initial pleasantries had evaporated, replaced by an electric tension in the room. "Emily," Dr. Hansen began, her voice carefully modulated, betraying none of the surprise she felt at the child's directness. "You said you have to tell the truth. Can you tell me what truth you need to tell?" Emily shifted, a subtle movement that nonetheless caught the senator's anxious eye. Her small fingers traced the smooth, worn surface of her headless doll. "They said it was a special fund," she stated, her voice a precise, almost clinical echo of an adult's. "For future investments." But Daddy always looked worried when he talked about it on the phone. especially after Mr. Davies came to the house. Senator Thompson flinched again, a barely perceptible twitch of his jaw. Dr. Hanson's internal alarm bells rang louder. Mr. Davies was a known, shadowy figure, rumored to be the senator's bagman for illicit dealings. This wasn't just a child recounting overheard snippets. This was a child making connections, drawing conclusions. And what did Mr. Davies do? Dr. Hanson prompted gently, trying to keep her tone neutral, masking the sudden intensity of her interest. Emily looked up, her large eyes seeming to pierce through the psychologist's professional facade. He brought big, dark bags. And Daddy said don't let Emily see this, she'll ask too many questions. A flicker of something profound, not fear, but a weary knowingness, crossed Emily's face. But I did see. I saw the money. Lots and lots of money. Her voice dropped to a near whisper, yet it held the weight of a terrible secret. And then Daddy would come home late, and Mommy would cry, and they'd whisper about the senator and the new project that made them safe. A bead of sweat trickled down Senator Thompson's temple. His gaze darted nervously between Emily and Dr. Hanson, a desperate plea for the psychologist to dismiss this as mere childish fantasy. But Dr. Hanson knew better. This wasn't fantasy. This was observation, chillingly accurate and unfiltered by the self-preservation instincts of adults. The precise details, the special fund, the future investments, Mr. Davies's dark bags, and the link to the senator, painted a disturbingly coherent picture. And what did safe mean, Emily? Dr. Hanson pressed, leaning just a fraction closer, sensing the fragile thread of truth unraveling before her. Emily shrugged, a slight, almost imperceptible movement. Mommy said it meant we wouldn't have to worry about houses or schools anymore. That we'd be safe from the bad men who wanted Daddy's secrets. Her eyes, however, widened slightly. But Daddy looked even more worried after they got safe. He started hiding things. Hiding what, Emily? Little black books, she replied without hesitation, her voice firm once more. He kept them under the loose floorboard in his study. He told me it was our special game and that only I could know where they were. Emily then looked directly at Senator Thompson, her gaze unwavering and utterly devoid of malice, yet cutting him to the core. He said if anything happened to him, I had to tell someone about the books. He said they would tell the real truth, not the truth people made up. The air in the room became taut, almost suffocating. Senator Thompson, his face now ashen, suddenly understood the true, terrifying extent of his vulnerability. This wasn't just a child witness. This was a meticulously instructed, innocent courier of damning evidence. Emily wasn't merely reciting, she was strategically revealing, piece by chilling piece, a narrative that threatened to dismantle a powerful political career. Her calm demeanor, far from suggesting trauma, now seemed like a deliberate, almost protective mechanism, shielding a mind capable of absorbing and retaining critical details. Dr. Hanson realized with a jolt that she wasn't just evaluating a child's psychological state, she was witnessing the unveiling of a carefully orchestrated contingency plan by a desperate father, leveraging the one person he knew would be underestimated, his own daughter. The psychological drama of this interview was not only in Emily's internal world, but in the rapid, terrifying unraveling of Senator Thompson's own carefully constructed reality. The silence that followed Emily's revelation about the little black books and the loose floorboard was no longer heavy. It was utterly suffocating. Senator Thompson, his face a ghostly white, seemed to shrink into his expensive suit, his eyes fixed on the small, unassuming child. He knew, with a sickening certainty, that his meticulously constructed world was about to collapse. Dr. Hanson, however, felt a surge of professional or mixed with a deep, unsettling unease. This was beyond anything she had anticipated. Emily wasn't just a witness. She was a meticulously trained, unwitting weapon in a high-stakes game of political survival. Emily, Dr. Hanson began, her voice barely a whisper, trying to maintain an air of calm that was rapidly deserting her. Why did your daddy tell you about these books? Why not your mommy? Emily's gaze remained fixed on the senator for a moment before slowly turning back to Dr. Hanson. Her grip on the headless doll tightened. Mommy cried a lot, she said, her voice softer now, tinged with a child's simple sorrow. She always said Daddy was making things worse by not listening. She didn't like secrets that made her scared. The implication was clear. Emily's mother was either too afraid, too complicit, or simply too overwhelmed to bear the burden of such a dangerous truth. Her father, in an act of desperate, strategic brilliance, had chosen the one person least likely to be suspected, and most likely to remember, his daughter. "And your daddy," Dr. Hansen continued. "Did he say anything else about these secrets? About what might happen if someone found out?" Emily nodded, a slight, almost imperceptible movement. Her eyes, usually so keen, seemed to cloud over for a moment, as if recalling a particularly painful memory. "He said that sometimes, big people do bad things, and they try to make it look like good things. But the books would show the real bad things. And that Mr. Thompson was very good at making things look good." She pointed a small, unwavering finger directly at the senator. The accusation, delivered with such innocent clarity, landed like a thunderbolt. Senator Thompson finally found his voice, though it was little more than a hoarse croak. "Emily, dear, your daddy just likes to tell stories. He has a very active imagination, just like you." He attempted a strained, placating smile, but it was a mask of desperation. Emily's expression, however, didn't change. She shook her head. "Daddy said grown-ups make up stories too. But his stories had numbers, and names, and places." She looked pointedly at the senator. "And he said the senator liked to make places disappear on paper, so no one could find them." Dr. Hansen felt a cold dread creep up her spine. "Disappear on paper?" she echoed, a faint tremor in her voice. "Yes," Emily confirmed, her eyes sharp again. "Like the big building Daddy was building for the new library. He said Mr. Thompson told him to change the numbers so it looked smaller, and that some of the money went to a different project that wasn't a library at all. Daddy said it was moving money into a black hole, and black holes eat everything." The weight of the child's words pressed down on them all. This wasn't just about bribery, it was about embezzlement, about public funds vanishing, about a corruption so deep it touched the very infrastructure of the city. Emily's father, realizing the profound danger he was in, had meticulously encoded the truth, trusting his daughter's remarkable memory and innocent observation to be his last line of defense. The little black books were no doubt ledgers, detailing the precise amounts and destinations of the black hole money. The image of the headless doll in Emily's lap suddenly seemed chillingly symbolic, a silent witness to a world where truths were dismembered and made to disappear. Senator Thompson, seeing his last pretense crumble, made a desperate, almost instinctive move. He started to rise from his chair, a look of pure, unadulterated panic on his face, as if he meant to approach Emily, perhaps even silence her. But Dr. Hansen, sensing the shift, reacted instantly. Her professional composure hardened into an impenetrable shield. "Senator," she said, her voice low and firm, cutting through the escalating tension, "I believe our interview here is concluded for today. Emily has provided us with very significant information." Her eyes, cold and unwavering, met the senator's. The unspoken warning was clear: do not touch this child. Do not try to intimidate her. As Dr. Hansen gently guided Emily from the office, the small girl's parting words echoed, not in accusation, but in simple, unburdened truth. "Daddy said the truth is like a little light. You can try to cover it up, but it always shines through." The door clicked shut, leaving Senator Thompson alone in his opulent office, surrounded by the crushing weight of a truth exposed, not by seasoned investigators, but by the quiet, unsettling wisdom of an 8-year-old girl and her headless doll. The game had just changed. The moment the door to Senator Thompson's office clicked shut, sealing him inside with his crumbling reality, Dr. Lena Hansen made her first decisive move. She didn't call the police, not yet. Instead, she reached for her secure, encrypted satellite phone, a device she reserved for cases of extreme sensitivity, and dialed a number she knew by heart: Eleanor Vance. Vance was not just a lawyer, she was a legend, a razor-sharp litigator known for dismantling corrupt empires with surgical precision, often by wielding the truth like a scalpel, exposed through the most unexpected witnesses. She had a particular, almost visceral, disdain for political hypocrisy. "Eleanor, it's Lena." Dr. Hansen's voice was low, urgent. I have a situation. An 8-year-old girl. She's the key. And she just handed me enough to bring down a senator. Eleanor Vance's response was immediate and focused. Details. Now. And protect that child like she's made of spun gold. Over the next few hours, in a secure, undisclosed location, Dr. Hanson meticulously recounted every chilling detail of her interview with Emily. She described the child's unnerving composure, her precise recall of conversations, the mention of Mr. Davies and the dark bags of money, the special fund and the future investments, and most damningly, the little black books hidden under the loose floorboard, entrusted to Emily as a grim inheritance. Dr. Hanson emphasized Emily's statement about her father's fear, his distrust of Mr. Thompson, and the terrifying clarity with which Emily understood the concept of moving money into a black hole. Eleanor Vance listened without interruption, her expression growing increasingly grim. When Dr. Hanson finished, the silence in the room was electric. This isn't just bribery, Lena, Eleanor finally said, her voice sharp as steel. This is a labyrinth of corruption, embezzlement of public funds for a library, and potentially witness intimidation if the father's disappearance is connected. And the child? She's not just a witness. She's a de facto custodian of evidence. Her psychological state is surprisingly resilient, Dr. Hanson noted. But she's operating under immense pressure, and her father's contingency plan for those books, it speaks volumes about the danger he perceived. Eleanor nodded. Which means we can't just send the police. We need to control the narrative. We need to set a trap that is so airtight, Senator Thompson won't even realize he's walking into it until it's too late. Their strategy was multi-pronged, designed to apply relentless, escalating pressure. First, Eleanor subtly leaked controlled fragments of information to a trusted investigative journalist, Julian Thorne. Thorne was known for his relentless pursuit of truth and his fearlessness in challenging powerful figures. The leaks were vague enough to pique her interest but specific enough to direct Thorne's attention toward Senator Thompson and rumors of an impending, devastating expose. This move was designed to make Thompson paranoid, to force him to make mistakes. Next, Eleanor began discreetly filing preliminary legal inquiries, not directly related to Emily's testimony, but to the new library project and its questionable budget allocations. These legal probes, seemingly innocuous, were designed to send ripples through Thompson's network, causing his co-conspirators to panic and potentially turn on him. Thompson would receive notifications, vague enough to be dismissed as routine audits, but unsettling enough to make him feel the walls closing in. Meanwhile, Dr. Hanson began a series of high-profile, public lectures on the psychological impact of children witnessing corruption, careful not to mention specifics, but using language that subtly primed the public for a coming storm. She spoke of the profound courage of children who tell uncomfortable truths and the responsibility of society to protect them. The media, already sensing a major story brewing, latched onto her words, amplifying the psychological drama of an impending revelation. Senator Thompson, isolated in his office, felt the pressure mount. His phone rang constantly, frantic calls from nervous associates, cryptic warnings from his legal team, and increasingly urgent inquiries from the media. He tried to dismiss them, to maintain his facade of untouchable power, but the carefully orchestrated whispers began to erode his confidence. He started reviewing old financial records, making panicked calls to his fixers, subtly trying to alter timelines and destroy digital footprints. Every desperate move he made, every panicked cover-up attempt, was meticulously recorded by Eleanor Vance's team, who had anticipated his every reaction. The trap, meticulously laid by a psychologist and a lawyer, with an 8-year-old girl as its unwitting linchpin, was beginning to tighten around the powerful senator. He was caught in a psychological drama of his own making, utterly unaware that the true, devastating act was yet to begin. 5. Justice served and new beginnings. The live broadcast of Senator Thompson's emergency press conference crackled to life across every major news channel. He stood at the podium, pale and visibly sweating, attempting to project an air of injured innocence. "These are baseless allegations," he stammered, his voice lacking its usual authoritative resonance. "Fabricated stories designed to derail a successful career." He tried to dismiss the growing rumors as political mudslinging, his eyes darting nervously towards the camera lenses, each flash like a judicial hammer blow. Then, a single notification popped up on the screens of millions of viewers. A link to an anonymously hosted, highly encrypted website. The title, The Thompson Files, A Child's Truth. It was Eleanor Vance's meticulously crafted trap, sprung at the precise moment of Thompson's denial. The site contained everything: scanned images of the little black books with their damning figures and coded entries, cross-referenced with public records of the diverted library funds. There were audio tapes, subtly enhanced, of Thompson's panicked phone calls to his fixers, discussing the destruction of evidence. And most powerfully, there was Dr. Lena Hansen's certified psychological report, detailing Emily's chillingly accurate testimony, not as a traumatized victim, but as an acute observer of adult corruption, her words bolstered by undeniable, newfound physical evidence. The images of Emily's original drawing, showing the black hole where money disappeared, now held a profound, devastating symbolism. The public outcry was immediate and deafening. Within hours, Senator Thompson was forced to resign, his career disintegrating in a spectacular blaze of ignominy. The Department of Justice launched a full-scale investigation, leveraging the very evidence Eleanor Vance had so strategically released. Mr. Davies and the fixers were swiftly implicated, their desperate attempts to cover up only providing more fodder for the relentless legal machine. The corruption labyrinth, built on greed and hidden in plain sight, was finally being dismantled. For Emily, the aftermath was a complex tapestry of healing and new beginnings. Dr. Hansen became a constant, nurturing presence in her life, guiding her through the whirlwind of media attention and legal proceedings. Emily's mother, finally free from the pervasive fear that had held her captive, began therapy, slowly piecing together her life away from the shadow of her husband's crimes and Thompson's influence. The little black books, her father's desperate legacy, were now safely in the hands of justice, serving their intended purpose. Months later, the former Senator Thompson, now stripped of his power and wealth, faced a grim reality. The weight of financial fraud, embezzlement, and obstruction of justice charges was crushing. His carefully constructed life, built on deceit, had crumbled, leaving him isolated and facing a lengthy prison sentence. The same media he had once courted now chronicled his downfall with relentless precision. Emily, however, began to flourish. The headless doll, once a silent companion to her secrets, was carefully put away in a memory box. In its place, she embraced new joys, attending a school where she felt safe and free to learn. Dr. Hansen ensured her privacy, shielding her from the lingering media frenzy, allowing her to simply be a child again. Yet, the experience had left an indelible mark. Emily possessed an unusual maturity, a quiet resilience, and a profound, unwavering belief in the power of truth. One afternoon, a year after the scandal broke, Dr. Hansen took Emily to the site of the proposed library, now finally under construction, its gleaming foundations rising from the ground. "Do you remember the black hole, Emily?" Dr. Hansen asked gently. Emily nodded, her eyes bright. "Yes. But now it's going to be a place with lots of books. For everyone." A small, genuine smile touched her lips. Dr. Hansen knelt beside her. "Your daddy wanted the truth to shine, like a little light. And you made sure it did. Because of you, Emily, this library is being built honestly. Because of you, justice was done." Emily looked up at the vast, clear sky, then back at the bustling construction site. The memory of the fear was still there, but now it was overshadowed by a quiet sense of triumph. She hadn't just revealed a secret. She had been the catalyst for rebuilding, for cleansing, for allowing a new, honest structure to rise from the ashes of corruption. In her innocent hands, the truth had not only toppled a powerful man but had also laid the foundation for a future where books, not secrets, would fill the void. The psychological drama of her past had given way to the hopeful reality of a new beginning, demonstrating that even the smallest voices, when armed with unyielding truth, possess the power to reshape the world.